So continuing with the So You Want to Write a Novel video series, I've decided let's move on to characters. How to, build your characters, and then the differences between main, secondary, tertiary, and walk-on characters, and how it's going to maybe help you build your characters. Alright, so let's begin. When it comes to characters, you're going to want to flesh out each character as if it were a main character. It's going to help round out your story so people can't say that there are little 2D cardboard cutouts walking around in the background of your, this isn't some B-rated horror movie where they ran out of cast and they just have little cardboard cutouts in the background. Do they do that? That'd be really funny, actually, if there was a B-rated horror movie. I don't even like horror. So if there was a B-rated horror movie with cardboard cutouts in the background because they ran out of, funds for cast, I would watch that. But don't actually do that. But don't do that in your story, because that would be bad. Don't do that for your novel, because you don't need. Guess what? When you're writing a novel, you don't need funds like you do when you're making a movie. So you have unlimited imagination funds to flesh out your characters. Alright, the exception to this may be walk-on characters, but I'll get to that in a minute. You're still not going to have little cardboard cutouts. So, but the exception to building full arcs, it definitely doesn't apply to. So building your base character. This is what your character is. This is who your character is. What does your character look like? And there are 10,000 different ways to build your characters. If you have The Sims, you can build a sim. I like Rinmaru's Epic Fantasy or Mega Fantasy Creator, and I'll insert pictures of characters I've made. This is where I'm inserting pictures of characters I've made through this. There's also there's Live Portrait Maker. I don't know if that's for Android, but it's definitely for iOS, and they have the male and female version of the app. Highly recommend. I'll insert some pictures of my characters that I've done with the online or app. Character creators. Azalea's Dolls is another great character kind of creator. So yeah, there's that. But basically, we're not even getting into socioeconomics of the characters yet. We're not getting into personalities of the character. It's like if you've ever played with the animation program Miku Miku Dance. Yeah, I'm that person who literally just got it for Hetalia. Little animations, but that's fine. It's fine. But when you first drop your character into the program, it just kind of flops down, So your character just kind of comes in, and it's that character, but there's nothing to them. They're just kind of standing there like. They're not even as animated as a sim with their constant, they just kind of stand there. So that's when you go in and add your socioeconomic background. After you've added how, your character looks, their build, their, and this can factor into, personality. If they have, a scar, they might be self-conscious of the scar, and so on and so forth. But, that's a bit of a digression. What was I saying? I was talking about, socioeconomics. So from your little base, your little 2D cardboard cutout character, really, even though it's so you have your 3D model of your character that's just kind of standing there like, hey, I'm a character, but I have zero personality. I'm just that personality-less person just sitting here doing nothing. Yay! That's when you go in and you add your socioeconomics. And it's all up to you with what you're writing. Are they lower class, middle class, upper middle class, upper class? Do they live in the city, the suburbs, the country? My favorite song was playing on my radio. And all these factor into how your character is going to treat other characters. how you're, just their personality. Just fill in your personality. It depends on what you're writing that's going to build their personality. And yeah, so that is kind of how you build your every character should be built this way. Even if, like, when it comes to walk-ons or tertiary, even secondary, this info may not make it into the novel. Some info may not even make it in for your main characters, but you have it, and it's going to flesh out, and it's going to influence the way you write these characters. So you have all the info, whether or not it's actually in the novel itself, it's there building the characters and even the world to some point of the novel you're writing. So that is kind of how you build a character, your character. Now, dividing this character up into main, is it going to be a main character, a secondary, a tertiary, a walk-on, anything in between? This is where the fun kind of things happen. So you have your characters. So we'll start with main characters. These are going to be your characters with the fullest, most satisfying character arc, your probably most fleshed out characters. Even though all your characters should be fleshed out, these are probably going to be the most, because you're with them longer, so they're going to at least seem more fleshed out. They're going to consist of your protagonist, your antagonist, your villains, if you have a carbon villain. They're really the people that you're going to spend the most time with, so therefore you're going to need a full character arc. You're going to need some kind of, whether it's internal, external, and I can make a video on external versus internal character arcs in a different video. That would kind of make this video too long, and I'm trying to cut down on the times of my videos, because even I don't have time for 22-minute long videos. I'm sorry, I was just trying to figure out what song that was playing. So you're gonna have that full very character arc, and it depends on your novel and what you're writing that's going to dictate what kind of character arc that they go through. It's going to, the character themselves you might go in with an idea of this is going to be X character arc, and your character's like, funny story time, I'm actually going to be this way. And that happens because you've fleshed out your characters so well that they do have a personality of their own. It's like an author thing. People don't actually, I don't think non-writers really realize how much an author interacts with their character when it comes to building them and interacting with them and writing them on the page, because we did give them full personalities and backgrounds and tragic backstory TM. So when we write them, they sometimes do seem like they have a mind of their own. And these are the characters that are the main characters most of the time. Sometimes a secondary character comes up and says, hey, I want to be a main character. But that's because, it's the way you've written the story, It's the way it happens sometimes. But I think that might be a good segue into talking about secondary characters. Now these are also going to be as fleshed out as you can get them from that building your base character, and then adding in your personality, socioeconomics, all those impacts and backstory. And they're also going to have a full arc. However, because we're not seeing them as much, you can get away with static characters or more static characters, or not as complete as an arc as your main character. Now they should have a full arc, because you're with them more than other characters like tertiary, walk-ons, whatever, the fourthiary. That's a word now. I'm an author, I can make up my own words. So they should have an arc, but you can get away with a little bit more static characters. I'm going to take this time to digress, because I have it written in my notes that I can digress about static versus dynamic characters. One is not better than the other. Unless you have a main character that's static, that's usually not a good thing. It just defines a character arc, really. It's I'll put it this way. When I was in high school, we were watching a movie about creative writing, and little nerdy 16-year-old me was like, I am ready for this. I knew, I was taking notes even though I knew all the things already, right? So they use The Wizard of Oz as an example of static versus dynamic characters. Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion are all dynamic characters. They go through some kind of change. Now, like in the movie, like it's kind of that realization of, oh, I've had it all along. But those are all dynamic characters. Static characters are very much Auntie Em and Uncle Henry. They're just good characters. That's all that there is to them. They're in the beginning, before the tornado hits. They're in the end, when Dorothy comes running home. I'm trying to focus on the book more than the movie, but even in the movie, the book and movie, they're still fleshed out characters. They're still very full characters. They're just static. They just are. They start off good. They end good, and there's no internal character arc change to them. Same thing with the Wicked Witch. She's bad in the beginning, she's bad at the end. Her entire arc consists of her being bad. She has no change, external or internal. Glinda, the Witch of the South in the book, the Witch of the North in the movie. Good in the beginning, good in the end. No internal or external character arc. External or internal character arc. Does this make them bad characters? No. Does this make them terrible terrible characters? No! I'm okay now. We're gonna move on. My tirade. I wasn't aware that I was gonna get like that, but it happens. It's fine. I'm very invested in writing, and I have been since I was at least 12. So it's been well over a decade of me writing and being invested in writing. And so when people, also The Wizard of Oz, that's also one of my favorite books. So when you go in and attack people talking about writing, talking about one of my favorite books, you've just opened up a whole new world of me can of whoop ass on you. Yeah, you just opened that can. I have zero regrets, it's fine. Tertiary characters. These are characters that are more than walk-ons. They are less than secondary characters. I don't know how else to describe them. They're going to be fleshy, filled-out characters, but their arc is not important. They're definitely going to be the static characters that I was talking about before I decided to go on a... It's fine. Everything's fine. But, so they're going to be, I think the best way to describe this is if I just tell you about a tertiary character that I wrote. So in my novel, second time around, my main character is Katie and Douglas. My secondary character are like, Katie's father, Barry, and, Katie's best friend, Alyssa. The tertiary character is Katie's boss at the newspaper, Mr. Brzezinski. Is he flown out? Yeah, I can tell you actually that I based him off of a person that I knew in real life. Not in it that often. He's only in it during the scenes that were at the novel. He's just a good character from the beginning, good character to the end. He's there to kind of really complete the world of the story that I'm writing without a boss who's going, of the newspaper that Katie's working at, it's really not going to be a complete story, because oh, it's whiskey in the jar. It fills out a very needed role, however they're not, and they help push the main character arc of my main character, Katie. But that's all that they, and that's very important that they do, but it's not very important that they have their own character arc. It's more important that they are helpful to the plot and to the main character. Which brings me to walk-ons. These are, they should be representative of humans, or, whatever race you're working with in your book, if you're doing like fantasy or hardcore sci-fi, hard sci-fi. And they should be representative in, dialogue and action, but they're really just your amplified base characters. They need to push the plot / main character in a way, or they're throwaway characters. You really should cut them out. However, they are needed. An example would be in my novel Driven to Escape. There's quite a few subs. It's a long road trip, so and they're traveling with a 4-year-old. And I don't know if you've ever traveled with small children, or if you remember traveling as a small child. Small children need to take bathroom breaks, so every time that they, they would need to like make an emergency pull off to like a small town store or something, the owner of the store is a walk-on character. You're not going to see them at all, so they are the most static of static characters. However, what they do is they do push the main plot / the characters forward, so they bring out something in the main character. So one of them, the main character, Robin, takes the little girl, Brandy, to the bathroom. The shop owner says to Jean, the other main character, your wife and child are, so, you have a beautiful family, your child is so well behaved, and Jean's over there, like, thinking, she's not my wife, that's not my child, they're trying to help get this kidnapped girl back to her family, but if he mentioned, oh, it's not my kid, we're just, we're trying to get a kidnapped kid back to her actual family, that's not the throwaway, well, I shouldn't say throwaway. What this walk-on character did was my lighting changed, what this walk-on character did was start the plot, or the subplot of Robin and Jean acting as a married couple with Brandy as their child, and they were like, hey, we're going to play a game, that we're going to play family until we get you back to your family. So it's this one walk-on character helps to kick off that plot. Yeah. So that's how important walk-on characters can be. I think, let me go back to my notes. That is all I have for this video. I hope that my tirade didn't take up too much time. My dog is currently in the room. Oh, and I'm sorry if you could hear hammering or general sounds of construction. There's work going on in my office is in the basement, and we're renovating our basement. So that's kind of where I'm. Yeah, so I apologize if you can hear any of that, but I needed to film so I can eat. In the comment section, talk about how you build your characters, if there's anything you do differently from, in the base construction. If there's something that you do when coming up with their personalities or socioeconomics, what you do, how you do it. Yeah. Or if you have a favorite character, or write down your favorite character and why, or a favorite character that you've written and why, go ahead and put it in the comments, because it'll be a fun time. If you like this content, please like, comment, and subscribe to my, and click the notification bell for notifications that I'm uploading to my channel. If you did enjoy my content. So with that being said, thank you all for watching, and bye! So we have a special guest this week on my video. And let me just say, it is an honor to have her in my office. It is an honor to have her on my channel. And you wanna see her? Okay. I'll show you. Here she is. Hi. How do you feel being on my YouTube channel? Hi. Hi, honey. Hi, honey. So, since you're on my YouTube channel, and this is a channel of books and writing, I do have... Hey. Pay attention. Since this is a YouTube channel about writing and books, I was wondering, what your favorite book is. Do you wanna weigh in on that? Do you wanna know? Oh, that's a good book. That's a very good book.